Shifting political winds in the Americas could have big implications for fertilizer markets, from production potential to regional partnerships. And as we look toward 2026, one major export decision abroad may be the biggest wild card of all. I'm Johanna Bota, and joining me today is Josh Linville, VP of Fertilizer at StoneX. Happy New Year, Josh.
You as well?
So let's start the interview with a bang, no pun intended. Over the weekend, the U.S. forces carried out a large military strike in Venezuela and captured President Maduro and his wife. Now, is this good news or bad news for the fertilizer market, and why?
Well, obviously, there's still a lot that needs to play out. A lot of people saw that Maduro and his wife were taken and immediately think, "Oh, the government is toppled, and this will, go to a more pro-capitalist, more pro-Western administration." They took out two people. There's a lot of still loyal people to the president and his wife. It's still going to take quite a bit of time and effort and energy to move the economy back to something that we see as more pro-Western. Let's presume we go down that path. Let's say that we, in 6 months, we now have a new head of state. We new have a new administration there, and they want to start development. When you look at it, they're sitting on one of the biggest oil reserves in the world. They've got massive gas reserves, things like this. So we can start to look to them and say, well, maybe they become one of the biggest nitrogen manufacturers in the world. Maybe we start to see a massive amount of investment. In fact, before Chavez had taken over years ago, we had started to see this happen. We had seen very heavy investment, some US companies included, to start trying to develop that with the intention of bringing on new production in the area. Obviously, when that was all nationalized, they lost those investments. There was a lot of international lawsuits and things like that. Didn't matter. They didn't pay attention to it. But all of this to sit there and say, short term, this means very, very little. The government bureau is still in place. This probably isn't going to change anything short term. Longer term, if we can go down that path, we could see Venezuela become a bigger nitrogen manufacturer. And on the flip side, we could see some changes from Trinidad. They are wanting to expand their natural gas exploration and development in previously untouched waters. The issue is they need to partner up with Venezuela, which the West hasn't been allowing. So they haven't really been able to push into those areas. Again, you get a more friendly area. Now, all of a sudden, Trinidad can start to develop those waters. Now, all of a sudden, they can start to increase their own nitrogen production. So, if we do see Venezuela move from a more communist regime to a more capitalist regime and they start to develop it, it would be a massive help. It could be a big boon for nitrogen production. But let's face it, this is not a short term event. This is something that's going to take many, many years.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, any political changes in Venezuela will affect regional gas production or regional gas flows, I should say, like what you just
Yes.
mentioned about Trinidad and all of the limited UAN and ammonia production from the past. Now, starting the year, very optimistic. I hear you. You're very optimistic about all of this. But the real wild card next year is actually China. What should we expect from their phosphate export approach in 2026?
So to have an idea of what we expect in 2026, let's go back through 2025. And in fact, let's go before that. Historically speaking, phosphate market, China is the biggest player on the block. We're talking a global marketplace largely controlled by five nations. China's ahead of that. They used to export between 8 to 10 million ton per year. Last year, they actually beat the expectation. We think they're going to finish around 5.5 million tons, but that's still far short of the 8 to 10 million. And when we saw the value skyrocket like we did in the first half of the year, well, a big chunk of that is because China did not export January through May. Well, now that we're looking at 2026, we saw that the exports we believe are going to fall off the face of the earth come December data. When you get that, they are now saying we are not going to export January until August of 2026. And here's the issue: August, is that when the tons will start to flow out? Or is August the Chinese government and officials will start to take export requests, and those tons still have to sit in the 60-day CIQ period before those can leave? So we could be talking about not having the world's biggest player this year, January through, let's just say July, with no exports, or at worst through September. Now, it's China. Who knows? They could change their mind tomorrow. Nobody would really blink an eye. But if they uphold this strategy, if they continue to do this where they don't export phosphates for this long, 2026, if anybody's sitting there saying, I think these prices are going to fall off the face of the earth, that's going to be very difficult to do without your biggest supplier.
Josh, what a way to start the year, huh? Always a pleasure. Thank you for always such excellent analysis. And thank you to our viewers for watching. For more financial content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.